As we start our 6 o'clock hour, we have the latest numbers, including those from Travis County. Brought the total number of deaths across the state. 121 people lost their lives. 166 people still missing.
And sadly, we know that the majority coming from our backyard in Kerr County. 96 deaths have been reported and confirmed there, including 60 adults and 36 children, and at least 161 people are still missing again in Kerr County alone.
Our Devin Karp is taking us inside a look at our first responders and the devastation.
Yeah, good morning, guys. If you look behind me, you can see the sign clearly says authorized staff only. That is the checkpoint where media like us have not been allowed to get behind there as crews with search and rescue continue their efforts to try to find missing people. But yesterday, I was able to get an inside look into some of the devastation at some of the worst parts along the river, and also to hear and see firsthand what these first responders have been doing. So going behind this checkpoint over here, we were able to see things like the water still rushing through, things like canoes, boats inside trees, debris from nature, brush, tree limbs themselves blocking up different parts, with crews trying to evacuate them and lift them up, all while some of these first responders trying to bring closure to some of these families who are still missing.
We do this it's our calling. So we don't expect anything, we don't want praise, we don't want any of that. We want to be out here, we want to give the loved ones closure, and we want to have respect and dignity for any of the deceased.
Now, while we were out there, we were also able to speak with some of the first responders and volunteers who are spending their time trying to help others. That includes Operation Blessing, which went for the first time yesterday, was able to go past that blockade checkpoint to start helping some of the families who had their house flooded. And they say that they have been overwhelmed with the amount of support that people are showing this community, because there's not a lack of helping hands.
And so in this case, we had a church, Oak Hills Church, called me in the last few days, said they had 40 people that had muck and gut experience, and that did we have something for them to do. And I ran into this gentleman yesterday. We offered to help them, and everything came together.
Yeah, mucking and gutting is an important part of the rebuilding process for a lot of these houses that did start to flood. Essentially what that is knocking down the drywall, taking a house mostly to the studs while removing tile and carpet, then moving forward to try to dehumidify areas before sealing it off with chemicals so mold cannot grow. Now, when I was out here and I asked about a timeline for some of these first responders, they say the only thing they have is indefinitely. They have made progress, but there is still so much work to do, and that's why some of the crews said they were very excited for President Trump's upcoming arrival later today, so the White House could have a first-hand view of some of the devastation here while seeing just what these first responders and families have been going through, hoping to continue to shine a light on the plights of the people in these community here, while also looking forward to more federal funding and dollars through some of this emergency aid. This is something that we're going to continue to cover for the rest of the morning here on GMSA, and also bring you live coverage once the president is here in the Kerrville and Ingram area. For now, we're going to continue to follow this, and I'll send it back to you guys in San Antonio. Devin Karp, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you very much. And as Devin mentioned, we will have live coverage, full coverage of the President and First Lady visiting the Hill Country. Well, this morning we're learning that one town had what many others did not: warning sirens ahead of the deadly Hill Country floods. Well, Comfort is several miles down the river. As you can see that map from where that heavy flooding started. Officials in Kendall County say they believe their emergency alert system saved lives. So this flood was the first time that Comfort's 2-siren system was activated. The county upgraded these emergency alerts back in 2024. There are 2 sirens, one at the fire station and one at Comfort Park. Kendall County told us that this cost roughly $70,000, and a nonprofit covered about 85% of the cost. The county also used boots on the ground to evacuate people and sent multiple warnings Friday morning through a wireless system.
The primary search teams from the state and feds have done a preliminary search through our area. They're working on their secondary.
The needs of Kendall County are completely different than the needs of Kerrville and Hunt and Ingram and Center Point right now.
Well, now a week later, officials say that search and recovery are still their priority. 8 people have been found dead as of Thursday in Kendall County, but none have been identified as residents of that area.
All right, looking at authority radar this morning, we do have a couple showers out to our west. These are tracking out to the north through parts of Medina and Uvalde County. Fairly weak, but we continue to see that possibility of a couple showers this morning. I don't anticipate all that much, at least here in San Antonio, but as the day wears on, we could see a few more pop up. I think rain chances today will be at about 10%. And by the way, those showers have honestly since dissipated. Let me show you the Kerrville forecast for this weekend, and this is important. While we're not expecting a ton of coverage of rain, there is a 30% chance coming up tomorrow, and there could be a few heavy downpours. Even just a little bit of flooding at this point would be extremely disruptive, so that's why we're going to keep very close watch on this. There is a 40% chance of seeing some downpours on Sunday too, so just know that we'll be watching this for you. And if any rain heads in the direction of Kerrville or where those responders are, still working on the recovery mission, we will certainly let you know. As far as the forecast for San Antonio today, as you're heading out the door, 89 noontime, we'll be up around 94. There is just a 10% chance of seeing some rain today. Again, the odds do go up a little bit for San Antonio too this weekend. We'll discuss that forecast and next week where it gets hotter. That's coming up in just a few minutes. We head over to RJ now, though, with a look at roads this morning.
All right, Justin, thank you very much for that. And we unfortunately starting our 6 o'clock hour with a pretty big crash on the southeast side of town. As I give you a look there at some of the backups taking place there at 35 at San Marcos for all of our drivers headed into the downtown area. That is construction related. So let's take you out to a map because we're seeing ton of flashing lights out here. This is 410 South at WW White. So I'm going to look up some information on the KSAT website right now. So it looks like this is going to be, again, our southbound lanes. Okay, let's get back on the map there. Okay, southbound lanes right here, past Southeast Military Drive for all of our folks coming in, and you are seeing that we do have a couple of the main lanes that are being affected at this moment right now. So again, this just popped up on the TransGuide feed, and I'm still trying to get a little bit more information, but it looks like at least 2 main lanes blocked right now for all of our drivers that are coming south on 410 right before the 410-37 interchange on the far southeast side of town. So I'll keep an eye on this situation and give you more details as we get them. Let's go back to Justin.
All right, outside with live cam, it is 6:08, 77 degrees. Live cam shows mostly cloudy conditions here over San Antonio. One thing we're going to address is that flash flood risk tomorrow across the hill country. What does it mean? What are the chances of seeing more flooding? And what does the weekend in general look like? We'll take another look for you coming up.
Welcome back. It is 6:12. Okay, so we've been looking at the weather. Obviously, this time last week, the radar looked a lot different.
Oh, yes. At this point, we were still dealing with rain coming down in Kerr County, and it had already, the river had already crested at that point, or at least it was cresting, and it was causing massive issues. Hard to believe that that was a week ago. It's still very fresh on our minds. And with that in mind, we're going to talk about some rain chances this weekend, potentially in the hill country. Let's first start with the upper level pattern and how things are sort of setting up. So we have our heat highs, our ridges of high pressure over Southern California, and then another one over parts of Florida. We've been kind of in the middle where things have been a little unsettled, and that is still going to be the case as we get into tomorrow. We're not going to be under the influence of these high pressure systems. We will have a little bit of a trough that will set up, and that could create, I think, quite a bit of storm activity in North Texas, but even down here where we are, that will also be the case on Sunday as this little disturbance continues to roll through. Now, beyond Sunday, high pressure begins to nudge in from the east, and that takes away rain chances and brings in the heat. So that's kind of how things will play out going forward. And you go to the middle part of next week, and that high is close enough to where it has quite a bit of influence over our forecast. Let me show you the futurecast for today. There is not going to be much. This is around 5 o'clock. In fact, doesn't show anything at all. I think if we do see anything today, it will be extremely isolated. And then as we get into tomorrow, this is where we start to see a bit more activity potentially popping up really anywhere across the viewing area. And if we do see some of these downpours, they could put down some heavy rain, and therein lies the issue. So a flash flood risk, there is a bit of one tomorrow. And I think in lieu of what happened with the flooding that we've already seen, I think we're being very cautious here, but it's a low end risk, and should we see any additional rainfall, obviously that could cause some problems. So that's why we're going to be very cognizant of the fact that there could be some heavier downpours in Kerrville this weekend. And this is the forecast for Kerrville. 89 both Saturday and Sunday, 30% chance of rain Saturday, 40% chance on Sunday. It'll be hit or miss type stuff. It won't be raining the whole time. But again, if you do see one of these downpours, it could put down some pretty good rain. As far as San Antonio is concerned, we think a 30% chance of rain on Saturday. We bring rain chances on Sunday down to 20% here. And then Monday through much of next week will be very quiet as that ridge of high pressure begins to move in. Let's go outside for you. We've got mostly cloudy skies here in San Antonio right now. 77 at the airport, 76 in New Braunfels, 76 Converse. We've got a south-southeasterly wind at about 9 miles per hour. And you see the feels like number there. So we've already got a heat index even at this hour. But the heat index will be a problem again today. 77 at 8 a.m., 79 at 9 a.m. Noontime, we're at 89, 91 at 1 o'clock, and then we make our way up to 94 this afternoon. About where we were yesterday. There is that 10% chance of rain for a small period this afternoon. And then as we get into tomorrow, we bump those rain chances up to 30%, 20% chance Sunday. And then we're going to get some, I'd say, much needed drier weather next week. The only problem with that is temperatures really do start to heat up as that high pressure system really starts to take hold. So 95 Monday, 96 Tuesday, 97 on Wednesday, 98 on Thursday. And coming up next half hour, we'll take a look at where we stand rainfall wise. And I know we've looked at a lot of those numbers already, but an interesting data we've got coming out for South Texas when it comes to just how much rain we've seen here across the area. And we'll have that for you, plus the latest on the drought monitor too, which came out yesterday. That's all in just a few minutes, guys.
So with the weather that's coming through right there, it should be sunny weather coming through for the area. It's going to be good news for us.
Yes, and obviously we want to stay focused with everything going on in the Hill Country, as well as we continue our team coverage here. And as we've been kind of saying throughout this entire hour, it is very hard to believe that it is a week later after what we have seen out there, the devastation, unfortunately the death toll continuing to rise. It's been a very, very sad and tragic situation. And I believe we're going to go to Rochelle Turner next, right, Jeff? She is with us live this morning in Kerrville as she is getting ready, and all the folks out there for President Trump's visit later today, and the First Lady as well. Good morning, Rochelle.
Good morning. We know that the president's visit includes a discussion with local leaders and Governor Greg Abbott. Now, we've been here all week, and we were actually moved off the property and came across the street. But this is Highway 27 right here behind me, and you can see barricades already lined up down the street. And in the parking lot of the Hill Country Youth Event Center, we've seen a lot of action throughout the morning since we've been here around about 3 o'clock. We saw a number of Department of Public Safety state troopers, as well as law enforcement agencies from across the state. But we've seen cars coming in and out. Officials are getting ready for President Donald Trump and the First Lady. Now, we know that his schedule is tentative and it could change throughout the day. The President and the First Lady are expected to arrive in Kerrville around 12:20. From there, they will do an aerial tour of the devastation in Kerr County. They will also have a roundtable discussion with first responders, local leaders, and Governor Greg Abbott. They will also visit families who've been affected by the disaster. Now, we know that more than 100 people have died, and there's still about 170 people who are still missing. The president has vowed to provide federal assistance for anyone who needs it. Of course, we're going to stay on top of his arrival, as well as his security details and when he will make any public remarks. Reporting live in Kerrville, I'm Rochelle Turner, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you so much, Rochelle. Okay, so right now, let's check out what our roadways are looking like.
Okay, Jeff. Yeah, so we're following a situation on the southeast side of town as we give you a look here at this traffic on 35 at San Marcos for all of our drivers that are going up on the northbound lanes of 35. And we've been reporting throughout the week. We know that there's obviously been a lot of coverage for our folks out in the Hill Country and the Kerrville area, but this kind of caught some folks by surprise, and several of our drivers, as you could see, still dealing with some pretty good backups here. I'm going to switch us back to the rotator shot. This is south of downtown. That's a 10 at Probent, and we're just kind of cycling through some of these cameras right now. We've seen this one a few times. This spot of downtown, traffic is looking pretty good out there. 35 at Main on the upper and lower levels of 35, no major issues. 35 at Salado Creek on the east side of town, and another shot here. This is south of downtown, 35 at Division, right before you get to parts of Burbank High School. So let's see what is the latest on the southeast side right now with this situation. All right, so it looks like things have actually started to clear out here. Our maps indicating that we're still seeing a little bit of delays for our drivers coming south on 410 right before the 410-37 interchange on the southeast side. But it looks, based on our TransGuide traffic camera here, that we are for the most part good to go there for our folks in that one particular spot. We've been focused a lot on that. You see the backup here at Alamo Street, over by Laredo Street, and the airport. We had a crash overnight in this one particular spot on 410 on one of those ramps that connects 410 to 281, but it looks like traffic is moving along there for anyone that may be headed out to the San Antonio International Airport, maybe picking up a flight, or if you live around the north side of town. All right, good morning, San Antonio. We'll continue in just a little bit. We're going to take a short break.
6:23 right now. A social media post on X says the UTSA students and staff will have another chance to honor 2 students and a professor who lost their lives during the Hill Country floods. Today at noon, UTSA will hold an on-campus reflection. Dr. Catherine Eads was a senior lecturer in the Department of Psychology. Reese Manchaca was an architecture student in the College of Engineering and Integrated Design. And Ella Cahill was a management student in the Villalvarez College of Business. UTSA says that all of them are victims of the flooding.
Yes, our prayers going out to them. Also, Aiden Hartfield, the Trinity student who was with those 2 young ladies, who unfortunately he has not been found as well.
So we got much of the same area in which our coverage has been focused again since last Friday has been Kerrville.
All right, so yes, we're going to go there now with live Ernie Zuniga, and he is in Kerrville for us this morning. Ernie, we know we're getting ready for the presidential visit, but what's kind of the mood out there, and what's the very latest you could tell us for our folks in the Hill Country?
Guys, good morning to you. I mean, it's obviously still early in the morning, but I think there is maybe a slight bit of rejuvenation or a different sense of feelings here just with the anticipation of the president being here in town later on today. So we're certainly expecting to talk to some more people about that. We're actually here inside the Salvation Army. It's the Ray and Joan Kroc Community Center. And of course, Ray Kroc, you may know, was the founder of McDonald's. And so his foundation poured in a lot of money for this beautiful facility. And I'll have Alex kind of pan around here because right now you've got obviously the Salvation Army component, but you've got a full gym in there. We've got some people getting in their early morning workout here. But we are a few blocks away from the distribution center, where even this morning in the 4 o'clock hour when we were driving around, there were people with pickup trucks and trailers stopping by to deliver donations, food, clothing, water, those kinds of things, gently used items that will obviously be used here in the community. And essentially what has happened here, and we were trying to get with one of the directors here, but he has another commitment right now. They work with the Texas Department of Emergency Management to help coordinate because, as you know, immediately after this tragedy struck, people started flooding this area with donations and wanting to help and the generosity and everything. And they needed an agency like the Salvation Army that is used to handling the scale of this type of effort and everything. And so that is what's happening literally behind the doors over here to my left as we speak right now. But I wanted to give you a sense of the scale, because, again, we've reached the 1 week mark of this tragedy. And just since July 4th, just to put this in perspective, and this is just the Salvation only here in the Kerrville area, they've provided more than 4,800 meals, 21,000 snacks, 32,000 drinks. They've distributed 860 cleanup kits, 1,300 hygiene kits, 210 cleaning supply kits, and those are buckets and mops and bleach and sponges and those kinds of things. And that just is barely tip of the iceberg in terms of the overall impact that they have had. We've talked a lot at length recently about our partnership with Gray Media, our parent company here at KSAT 12, the Grand Media Group, partnering for the Together for Texas. You can go online to togetherfortx.com, and that is that online portal where you can make a donation, and ultimately we're using our platforms, if you will, with our media partners to generate funds and ultimately fund more donations and stuff like this. So again, that's the scene right now from the community center here in Kerrville. Again, not too far from where the actual donations are being dropped off. And if you're seeing this and you want to help or drop off donations, they're located in the 800 block of Hayes Street here in Kerrville, and that is where you'll want to take your donations. Don't bring them here, but you'll actually want to take them to the donation and distribution center on Hayes Street, and they will be happy to welcome you in and take your donation. So again, that's the scene right now. We are going to make our way back to the VFW where they're opening up the doors and taking in donations over there. I showed you earlier the barbecuing that will be happening, the coffee truck, and although that's been like a nice collection point for a lot of people overlooking the park right along the river where more donations can be gathered and then ultimately distributed and sent out to other communities. So we'll keep in touch and, of course, talk to more people as we await the arrival of the president here in a few hours. But for now, that is all from Kerrville. I'm Ernie Zuniga. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Ernie. It is 6:28 right now, 77 degrees outside.
Good morning, San Antonio. We'll be right back.
Live from KSAT 12, Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
And we begin our 6:30 coverage, obviously, with the Hill Country flooding. And a week later, guys, still a lot to kind of take in, a lot of unfortunate and tragic news that we received over the past couple of days.
I think we can kind of take a breath because today, in comparison to this time last week, I feel like everybody was holding their breaths, hoping and praying that it wasn't going to be as bad as it got. And here we are still dealing with the cleanup efforts right now.
I can honestly say, as it unfolded a week ago, I never in my wildest dreams could have thought the death count would be what it is.
Yeah.
It truly breaks my heart, but, President Trump obviously will be visiting today, and we're still just trying to wrap our minds around the whole thing. And it's been a week, but there's still just a lot more to go. So for those who are, responding and families and all that, we continue to support you. And let's take a look at the forecasts. If you're going to be there in the Hill Country this weekend, there is a chance for some showers and storms. I'll tell you that. There could be some heavier rain in spots too, so that's something that we're going to monitor. I'm not expecting a lot of coverage this weekend, but there certainly could be some downpours out and about. Nothing here in San Antonio right now. If you're heading out the door for work this morning, 77 degrees at the airport, 75 in New Braunfels, 77 Converse, 72 right now in Bernie. South-southeasterly winds at 11. Feels like numbers already starting to show up, so we know there will be a pretty significant heat index today. Sunrise this morning will be here in about 9 minutes to be exact. Sunset will be at 8:37 this evening. Total sunlight today, 13 hours, 53 minutes. So still some pretty long days that we're dealing with here. Forecast, 89 noontime, 92 at 2 o'clock, 94 will be your high temperature. Heat index will be up around 97, 98 at its peak for a few hours later today, and there is that 10% chance of rain. That number goes up tomorrow to 30% here in San Antonio and perhaps a little bit higher in the Hill Country. Again, next few days. We're going to discuss that and talk about that flood potential coming up in just a couple minutes, guys.
All right, thanks so much, Justin. And our Hill Country flood coverage, team coverage continues this morning.
That's right. We have Devin Karp. He is out in the Hill Country for us this morning. And Devin got some interesting access yesterday, to some of these hardest hit areas. So let's go to him live right now out in Ingram for us on this Friday morning. And Devin, what is the very latest you could tell us out there?
Yeah, good morning, RJ. Look, if you take a look behind me, you can see traffic is really starting to pick up here, but not just anyone can get past this point where I'm at. Over here in Ingram, the Ingram Volunteer Fire Department is behind me, and after that is a checkpoint where only first responders and residents who have their homes affected by the floods are allowed past. That way they can focus on their jobs. We haven't been able to get over there yet, but as of yesterday, I was able to go on an escort with a firefighter first responder to firsthand see some of the devastation in some of the worst parts of the river, and also see how these crews are coping with being out there and handling the responsibility of bringing closure to some of these families. So some of the first things that we were able to see was really just the scale of the devastation affecting the high school over there, going over a Little League baseball field. You can see in some of the trees from some of this video here, canoes up in the branches, trash, a lot of vegetation, trees, natural debris coming from the floodwaters that have been carried down. They're using heavy machinery and equipment to try to excavate and get rid of some of that so the water can flow through more naturally, and the first responders are able to do their job and bring closure to some of those families. When I was speaking with some of them, they say this is something they never could have prepared for in scale, but what keeps them coming back day after day is the willingness to do the right thing.
None of us have ever been in an operation like this. We train for emergency situations, but the magnitude of this river flooding and the flash flood that came through and the destruction it did, you can never train for something of that magnitude.
And while out there doing the right thing, I was able to speak with one woman who says she actually owns an Airbnb in Hunt, Texas. That's just outside of Ingram here. Thankfully, that house was okay, but she says since then it's been empty. So she was making her way up to fully make it available for first responders and people who were affected by the floods to stay there, wanting to do the best she can, she said, to be the manifestation and physical help of something that Jesus would do.
Just not getting guests right now, and so we feel like to give back to the community, we'd love to help take care of people that way where we can, give them a safe place with some AC and some water and some normalcy.
First responders say now they're going to start cycling through after so many have been here for so long. And when I was out there asking them on the ground about a timeline, they simply just said indefinitely. They've made some solid progress, but there is still a lot of work to be done over here, cleaning through the river and also starting the process of mucking and gutting through some of the homes that have been flooded. That's why some of these first responders crews I spoke with said they're excited for President Trump's visit today. They say they want to continue to shine a spotlight on some of the damage and devastation that's out here, and say there's a difference between seeing pictures of it and being in person. They hope that can inspire continued federal support and grants here, helping first responders with heavy equipment, machinery, supplies, and the overtime hours it needs to take care of this community. We're going to be following that for the rest of the day here on GMSA, and once the president arrives here in the Hill Country area, you can stick with us with KSAT for more. I'll go ahead and I'll send it back to you guys over in San Antonio. Live in Ingram, Devin Karp, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you very much for that report, Devin. Well, in response to these devastating 4th of July floods, KSAT 12, KPRC, our parent company, Graham Media Group, and Gray Media have united to launch an urgent donation drive called Together for Texas.
QR code on your screen right now can be scanned to take you to the donation page. The campaign aims to support relief and recovery efforts for families and communities severely impacted by the disaster. And again, all of the funds raised will go directly to the on-the-ground efforts in floods-affected areas through the Salvation Army. Speaking of on the ground, RJ, how are we doing on the roads?
All right, Jeff, quick check of our traffic situation, and we do have a crash reported right here at Tenet Probant. This is going to be in our eastbound lanes. You could already see some backup for all of our drivers coming off of 10 and still dealing with all that construction further up the road on 35. So Tenet Probant eastbound right before you get to 10 and 37, that one particular interchange, that's going to be south of downtown and south of the Southtown area, Alamo Dome area there as well. Over here, I-10, this is going to be our westbound traffic right here at Callahan Road. It looks like we have this one vehicle off to the side of the road there on the shoulder, but we do have a Hero truck there available on the scene ready to help this one driver out. So a couple different incidents. We will keep an eye on the ongoing traffic situation. Justin.
Thanks, sir. Outside with live cam, it's 6:39, 77 degrees. Mostly cloudy here in San Antonio. Humid, small chance for a shower today, and we're watching for more development this weekend that could produce a little bit of flooding in spots, especially in the Hill Country, which will be important to watch. We'll have the latest for you coming up.
It is hard to move forward if you can't see. We have a faith-based vision care nonprofit in San Antonio stepping in to help Kerr County flood victims have a better vision to rebuild it. Our team coverage of the Hill Country floods continuing this morning.
ABC's Trevor Ault joining us live once again this morning from the Hill Country. And Trevor, it's been a very difficult week for a lot of our neighbors up there. What are you seeing out there this morning?
Well, we're still seeing a full week, guys, after this tragedy, that this is very much an ongoing and intensive and even agonizing search effort. Because when you talk about miles of debris and devastation, it is easy to understand why in the past several days, essentially the past 3 days, with still more than 160 people missing, all of these search crews, thousands of people from all over the country, have found less than 10 people. It is a staggering number still, but when you're here on the ground, you can understand why it is just so difficult. With on the riverbanks here, along with all the water, while the rivers have receded, you have debris, you have these gigantic trees that have toppled over, and even in the midst of it all, like if you look up here as the sun comes up, I think you can see now, there's a trash can up here that's 25 feet in the air. Some of these trees, you see canoes wrapped around a tree at 30 feet up in the air because the water was rushing at that speed. And this is part of what all of these search teams are dealing with. We have people that are using sonar, using drones. They get chainsaws out to cut through all of these trees whenever a dog picks up a scent. And at the same time, officials are having to urge all of the residents here, yes, there are these gigantic piles of debris and you want to help with the search, but please don't disturb these debris piles because it's possible that there could be victims inside. All of this is happening, of course, as President Trump is expected here later today, meeting with emergency responders, talking with grieving families. He'll be with the First Lady as well. We do expect he's going to face some questions about the response to this tragedy. He has so far only had praise for the government agencies and their response. He's referred to this as a once in every 200 years event. He definitely, though, will face at least some questions as he is here on the ground. But with the search effort still ongoing, it is a very difficult position for a lot of these families and this community to be in. When you talk about the fact that 121 people are confirmed to have died, and a lot of these camps that have been destroyed downriver, which are institutions in this community, we are in the middle of summer. This would normally be when hundreds of kids are at these camps having the time of their lives. It is really difficult, not just the process of having to clean out those camps and then maybe think about the rebuilding process, if that's even safe because of the flood hazard, but you can't move forward when there are still more people missing than there are confirmed dead. The number at the last update is 166 people that they still have not found. We talked to some search crews. There's a Virginia search team at a boat ramp just down the road here. They're getting ready to go out again. A search team that we saw yesterday, they were here from Tennessee. They said that they got here essentially day one, and after a full week of effort, they had found 2 people. It is extremely strenuous and agonizing for all of these teams, and it's agonizing for all of the people here, many of whom reality is setting in a week later after this event when you have family members who are still missing. They're not naive into the situation for those missing family members, but they want some closure, and it is just so hard to do that when the fact that this terrain and these conditions are making it so hard to find all of those missing family members. But officials say, well, they're committed to eventually investigating the response to this. Maybe there were some missed warning signs. Right now, still the full focus is on the search and the reunification efforts, but that is extremely slow going. It could very easily take several months before they conclude that process, guys.
All right. Thank you so much, Trevor. All right. Speaking of that rushing water, just take a second real quick. Imagine that you're waking up, water is rushing through your bedroom, and the only thing that you can think to do is to survive. Well, that will forever be a memory for so many people impacted by the deadly Hill Country floods. But imagine trying to survive with poor vision because you didn't get a chance to grab your glasses or your contacts. Now, that seems simple, but a very important basic need. And I spoke with one faith-based vision care nonprofit here in San Antonio who was joining the call to action so that those in this kind of situation has been affected by the floods can have a clear vision to rebuilding. You can't move forward if you can't see.
Right. But if you can't see, you're outside of your normal. So we want to do what we can to help people get back in their normal, get back into some comfort so they can start to work and build and move forward.
When you saw the catastrophic damage that was happening and you saw so many people were basically walking out without anything to their body, what was it in you that made you say that we need to figure out how we can at least play a role in that little part?
Well, these are our neighbors. This is our community, and this is what we do. Our mission is to provide vision care for those in need, and these people, our friends, our neighbors, they're in need, whether that's using your prescription that you might have digitally or doing a quick test, getting refracted for you for a new prescription. And we have an optical shop so people can pick frames. We'll expedite that processing, so we'll get people back in their glasses as quickly as we can.
You also mentioned something about trauma that could have happened,
Sure.
you know, with the flood waters. You had so many people that
Sure.
were being rescued off of rooftops and out of trees.
Sure. All of our doctors are volunteers, and they specialize in so many different areas. And if you don't have a doctor, if you can't get to a doctor, but you feel like something's going on with your eye, if you're having some lost vision, blurry vision, we can help figure out what's going on.
You are wanting to help for a reason.
We are a faith-based organization, and we don't just say it. We want to work. We are framed to work through the eyes of Christ and the love of Christ. We want to help our neighbors. We want to do what we think we can in our small way to put that love of Christ into our community.
Such a beautiful gesture right there. Now, anybody out there that are watching this, and if you were impacted by the floods, if you need these kind of services, all you have to do is prove that you have been impacted by the floods in some way or another. Mrs. Berg said that, yeah, I understand that some people may have lost their driver's license or lost their ID. We can figure it out. They said they are willing to work. And they even said that if you get your prescription to them, they will drive the glasses or whatever you need to you if you need that kind of service. Now, I have all the details on how you can get your free vision care in your chapter of rebuilding. Info can be found in this article on the website at KSAT.com.
Japhanie, thank you. I want to show you the drought monitor. This came in yesterday. A lot of people have been asking, well, where do we stand now? We got a lot of rain, right? Surely we've erased some of this drought, and we did. Still not as much as you would imagine. It obviously brought the drought down to just Medina County here. Kerrville area, at no surprise, has dropped down to severe drought. You would think it would be even better than that, but bottom line, we are continuing to eat away at this, and drought conditions, they were just so so incredible that it is taking a lot of time to really erase what we were in. The percent of normal rainfall. So what are we talking about here? This is over the past 30 days. And when you're talking about percent of normal rainfall, if you're over 100%, that means you're doing really well. You're above normal, 178%. I mean, most of Texas has been doing really well, if not receiving too much rain over the last 30 days. Waco at 293%, San Angelo at 291%. You really got to go up into the panhandle before you run into any numbers that are really below average. So Texas, for the month of July, has been very rainy, and again, to the point where we've gotten too much, and it's been devastating in some spots. Area reservoir level, 64% for Canyon Lake. This number is still continuing to go up. We're up 13 feet since last month. Medina up 11 feet since last month. Travis up 23 feet since last month. That's been the biggest mover. And Buchanan up 12 feet since last month. So still on the rise, still have a long way to go, but these numbers are still going up. Futurecast. We don't expect much today. This is at 5 o'clock, just a 10% chance of rain tomorrow. A little different story. Deeper moisture comes into play. We have a disturbance that'll roll through North Texas. And while most of the heavy rain will be across North Texas, we're going to watch for any spotty downpours that develop tomorrow because they could produce some brief street flooding. And while I don't think we'll see much, we do want to keep a close eye on Kerrville because any additional rainfall there obviously would not be good. It would hamper the search efforts. The flash flood risk, they did actually bring it down into the hill country for tomorrow. So on a scale of 1 to 4, we're talking a 1, low end risk of flooding. But again, it's just something that we have to monitor. And Kerrville will have about a 30% chance of rain tomorrow. Heavy downpour possible. That is also the case on Sunday, where we have about a 40% chance of rain. Further north you go out of the hill country, the better chance of rain you will see. And just know that we'll be monitoring that very closely. 10 a.m. 82, noontime 89 for us here in San Antonio today, and just a 10% chance of rain with a high right around 94. 94 tomorrow, 94 Sunday. Chances of rain this weekend, and then drier as we get into next week. We'll be right back.
Coming up on 6:56, excuse me, and let's give you an update here on the situation here south of downtown Tenna-Proban. Traffic starting to clear out a little bit after we had a crash reported earlier on the eastbound lanes right there at Tenna-Proban over by the Roosevelt area as well. 10 at Callahan Road, looks like we have cleared this out for our drivers on the northwest side of town. So no other major issues or delays at this moment as we give you a look here at our traffic. The latest on traffic here for your Friday morning commute.
All right, well, stick around with us. We got more of our Hill Country flood coverage coming up on GMSA Plus. Stay tuned.